Hello and welcome back to the Midlands Outdoors channel today, back with another video. Heading to the Birmingham Canal, just at the Spon Lane Bridge at the moment, all the way down to Smethwick, covering history, go look at bits and pieces, looping all the way back round to the old line and back to the motorway section. Enjoy the video and let's get into it. So here we are on the Birmingham Canal by the Spon Lane Bridge, just right around the corner. Got an old photo to show you what this bridge looked like back in the old days. You can just really see much has really changed down onto here, lots of overgrown trees. It is really much different as you go down to the Galton Valley section where the Galton Bridge is. So the Birmingham New Line Canal was actually constructed to relieve the traffic when the horses were passing on both sides. There is a towpath on there, but the other side today isn't used, it's all overgrown. So the towpath that we're on is mainly the used one. It is blocked off at the moment, they're supposed to be doing repairs down by the Chanted Glassworks because all the walls are unsafe. But what I find interesting is very old bridge right away. You can just see all the old brickwork coming all the way down, evidence of the old section. All this here, what you can just see is the new section that got added on many years ago. And then right around the corner you can just see the old bridge from this area. You really do get a really good view of it right the way there. And there we go, there's a sign, Spon Lane Bridge. But right, let's go and head down to the Galton Bridge and go and check out the Galton Valley section. Lots of history down there, we've got the pumping station and there is much more. Here we are, this is what I really want to show you, the Galton Tunnel section where you've got the Galton Bridge. You've even got another one that's really old right away in front. So this I believe is the artificial section of the canal line, so I will tell you more information behind it. A very bumpy ride, but you can just see this one here, possibly dating to the 1800s once more. So it is really cool to see the old bridges across the canal line. I can imagine most of them really do date back. Like for Galton Bridge, it was all cast at the Horsey Ironworks for some of them. Imagine further down from where we come from by the Netherton Tunnel junction. There is actually some bridges there what really do date back a bit. There is some down by Smethwick, also cast at the Horsey Ironworks. And there is a few down by the Bromford junction, right away down the bottom, where there is some bridges there with dates and also Horsey Ironworks onto them. So here it is, this is the Galton Bridge, right away at the top. Let's go and show you. Right up there, if I zoom in, you can just see the very old architecture. It is really torn up. And up to there it says Horsey Ironworks, the date of 18 something. Tried to make up what the date is, it's very small, I can't read it from here. But there is an information board there where we can tell you a bit of history about it. So here we are, we've got the history. It's very interesting to read, this is. It says here, Galton Valley and Galton Bridge were built in 1829 by the great engineer Thomas Telford, and both were remarkable engineering achievements for their day. The work was carried out over a 2-year period by hundreds of labourers using hand-oiled tools and enormous expense. Telford justified the cost by saying, where business is extensive, liberal expenditure of this kind is true economy. But you can just see, panning all the way around, we've got the maps here, so this is probably a very old Ordnance Survey map showing where we are situated right around the corner. You've even got this photo which is really quite cool. You can just see the Galton Bridge. Just imagine when the valley was really cut out back in the old days, what it really did look like. You've got the horses down here towing the boats all the way across, the Industrial Revolution. Even the old clothes what they used to wear. It is really fascinating to see things like this. You can imagine that's a woman up there, you can see a woman in a dress. But what I find cool is this, where we're standing, I believe if it is here, a bit further behind, there used to be a path that used to go right the way up. Where you stand back a bit, you've got the Galton Tunnel, I'll explain about that one in a minute. But you can just see, I believe the path used to go up this way, from a corner on this section, a bit further behind. So if we come back to the history board, it says here that the Galton Bridge, which you can just see, we've even got bits and pieces there, we've got people walking across with prams, we've got some horses. It says, this grade 1 listed bridge was still used for road traffic until 1975. So it says here the valley. Galton Valley is artificial. To get his canal over the Smeaton summit without using locks, Telford cut a trench 3.66 kilometres, 2.2 miles long, and 21 metres, 70 feet deep. This was a pioneering earthworks project for the era and helped create a fast, level route for barges between Birmingham and Wolverhampton. So it's really interesting to tell you some information about the artificial section, what goes all the way down the Galton Bridge, even just showing the bridge further behind, telling the history of it. But let's find it really cool seeing this section how tall that bridge really does go all the way up. It must have took years to construct that bridge. Just imagine the time and effort put in to make it. But I've got some more photos to show you of this section that is really cool. It's nice to see and go back over some of the old photos to remind you of what this area really did look like back in the past. Really done me ears in. Sorry about that. I was going to tell you about the Galton tunnel and show you inside. I might actually show you the other one what's at the top, which is really similar, a bit later on. I didn't want to get that in the video because it is really quite loud. Someone playing a trumpet right outside the tunnel. So here we are journeying further on. We've got the Galton Valley pumping station. It was actually built to maintain the water levels between the two back in the old days. It's actually used as a museum today, so we'll go and actually check it out from the outside and show you what it's like. Here we are. This is actually the Galton Valley pumping station right around the corner. You can just see how old this place really is. Just zooming right away in, we've got a tunnel that goes right away underneath it. But this is the outside of it. You can just see all the architecture going right away to the top. I have got some photos to show you of this place in a little while. It's really cool to see what this bit also looked like back in the old days. So a bit of information behind it. So the building, what you can see here, it says the new Smethwick pumping station. The Canal Museum explores the history of the Galton Valley Canal and the people who designed, built and worked on it. Built in 1892, the pumping station was designed to pump water from the lower level to the higher canal to maintain the water levels. It really does date back a bit. Imagine 1892 to when this place was even being used. If I pan around from this corner, you can just see the Galton Valley pumping station right the way there. Absolutely cool to see. Here's now some of the old photos, what you can just see of the canal line, that's all the way down to here. Just see how much has really changed. And if we go back to the canal now, it's all changed. Lots of trees all overgrown. Even all this like plant life taken all the way back. Much has been done to the station itself. You can see there is a big massive chimney up there. They actually fitted a new system inside back in the old days. Don't know if it was actually derelict. You can see on the photos that it does look a bit dilapidated. You see parts of the roof was actually falling apart. So I think they did major repairs to it to try and save it. So I believe it is also a grade listed building. But it's really cool to see one more thing along the canal line on the way to Smethwick. There we go, the Galton Valley pumping station. So right, we've still got loads to cover. We've got the canal right away at the top. There used to be quite a lot of old factories where the locks used to be situated, and lots of history. And again, once more, some really interesting photos that I've got to share with you. But where we're heading to now is the engine arm aqueduct, and that has also got a lot of history, and it's a very old bridge itself. So here it is, there's the engine arm aqueduct. So when we go around the top canal later on, I will show you just what's over there. It is really cool. We've got some old industry and some derelict sidings right away at the bottom. So it does say here, the engine arm aqueduct near Smethwick, West Midlands, was built in 1825 by Thomas Telford to carry a water feeder, the engine arm, from Edgbaston Reservoir over the BCN New Main Line Canal to the adjacent and parallel Old Main Line. The structure is maintained by the Canal and River Trust. It is a scheduled ancient monument and is Grade 2 listed. And if we just come a bit further down to show you, here's an old photo just from the top overlooking the aqueduct going all the way down. But you really do see the architecture when you're on the Birmingham New Line Canal, or the bridge going all the way across, the aqueduct. How cool is that? We've got little patterns built into there. The style of it is just really cool. Imagine how far this one also dates back. Like I mentioned, I just really do love seeing things like this. The history really does thrive down the Smethwick way. We've even got things around the corner. Not only that, but there used to be something just onto the corner here. So right, what you can see here is a big massive island that is actually similar to the Dunkirk stop where I've come from all the way from the bottom. So here it says gorging station. It says a gent shows the gorging station rising from the canal island. So I believe, where is it onto here? There it is on the old photo right away there. So what you can just see is a very old building that was once situated right the way there to where I'm pointing, coming all the way down. So the station was demolished in the 1940s, but the island remains today. Here canal officials could accurately measure the distance between the top of the boat and the waterline as it was filled with weights. This information helped toll keepers to calculate how much each boat had to pay as it passed along the canal.
35 tons. 35 tons. Right.
You can imagine there was a lot of toll offices across the canal network, some here, some up in Tipton I believe. There was one by me, Dudley number 2 canal, as you're coming towards the Old Hill section. So it's really cool. If you want to go and check it out, it's awesome to see. But it says here the engine arm, so I did cover a bit of information down the bottom for you. A culvert fed water from the Edgbaston Reservoir towards Smethwick Summit using gravity. For the last few hundred metres it became a short feeder canal called the engine arm. So that's actually why it's called the engine arm aqueduct right away there. So when we come back up to the top later where all the old industry used to be, I'll cover a bit of information and show you what's down that canal siding, which is really cool. So right, let's go and journey on now. We've got even more to cover down there. We've come to 2 nice little bridges, and further down used to be something called Cornwall engineering works, and there was actually much more. Here's the 2 nice bridges right away to the bottom. This is actually where the BCN old line meets the new line, just right around the corner. So here it is. I believe back in the old days there was industry over there. There was industry just right around the corner called Cornwall Engineering Works. So I'll tell you more about that in a little while. Now it says Horsey Ironworks, Staffordshire, 1828. You can see how old the bridges really are. They've had a bit of work done to them, a bit of painting onto them, because I think back in the old days they used to look a bit more different to this. So it says here James Brindley and the old main line. When James Brindley surveyed the first canal here, the concept was very new and lock design rather than basic. To avoid the need for locks and earthworks as far as possible, his meandering canal works with the landscape, following the 473-foot contour line for much of its length. Brindley's canal was a great success, slashing the cost of coal by 70% and making Birmingham a centre of manufacturing. So you can just see a map blocking out a bit of the sunshine. You've got the Brindley line, which is actually the red line going all the way across, looping round the side of Cozy Tunnel there, then into Tipton. You've got the Thomas Telford line, which is actually the new one today, which we can cycle all the way across and go to Birmingham. So that one I believe is the Thomas Telford line. So you can just see another old Ordnance Survey map. So we've got there Smethwick Locks, so we're heading there on the last part of the video. We've got Rolfe Bridge. Even there we've got something called French Walls. You've got the Cornwall Engineering Works right around to the corner. That one's very interesting. Credenda Works. So here we are, we're just heading over the bridges at the moment, so you do get a nice view right away from the top. So there we go, you really do get a nice view. We've got a narrow boat that's doing the turn to go down to the BCN old line. There's actually the other bridge right away at the bottom, but there is actually a photo of the bridge what I'm standing on right now, so here's one of them with the factory units all the way right away at the back. So it is really cool to see photos of the canal section that is actually just right away here. There is even old factory workings right away of the distance over there. So there we go, we've got quite a lot of industry that's still there today, right away in the distance. So it actually used to be called Tangies Limited 1856. So the company was actually founded by James Tangi with his brother Joseph and Richard. If I've actually said the name right, I don't know. So from 1856 it dates all the way up to 1864. So the company what you see behind me is actually the old works for their Tangi Bros. And then it dates all the way up to 2015. Not only that, there used to be more. Here's some old Ordnance Survey maps, a bit more up from the Cornwall engineering works. It used to be a gas works. You even had quite a lot of foundries that was right away at the back. You had Soho Foundry. Looping all the way around the canal line used to be some more chemical works, a place called Merry Hill. And then it loops all the way around and we've got something called Stour Valley Line. But further at the back of the canal line used to be some really interesting stuff. We've got a city lunatic asylum, we've got a fever hospital, and we've even got a massive infirmary just right away there, somewhere further right away at the back. So you can just see lots of information behind this canal line. Just one more stroll down to here. You do get a really nice view of the bridges right away here, and also the bridge on the far back corner. It's really cool to see these. But you can imagine the time and effort it took to construct these bridges at the Horsey Iron Company. You can just see there's quite a lot of old industry down here. Just by the side of it is actually a factory called Avery. So here we are, you can just see something, W&T Avery Limited. Picture here, it says Soho Foundry. It says the main gate to Soho Foundry, the company's head office. So it was actually formerly W&T Avery until 1979. So we actually produce quite a lot of different scales, various ones going all the way down from the pictures. So the company was founded in the early 18th century and took the name W&T Avery in 1818, having been taken over by GEC in 1979. The company was later renamed to GEC Avery. The company became Avery Berkel in 1993 when GEC required the Dutch company Berkel. After the takeover by Waytronics in 2000, the company was again renamed to be called Avery Waytronics, with Avery Berkel continuing to operate as a brand. The company is based in Smethwick, West Midlands, England. So you can just see it says Avery Waytronics right the way there through the gates. So it's really cool to talk to you about that. Let's go and head to the BCN old line and go and show you some more history down that section. So here we are, we're on the Birmingham old line canal now, just headed from the new line, just right away at the bottom. So here we are, this is the Smethwick locks. Much has really changed up to here. You can just see the very old bridge right away at the bottom. There is some new houses right away at the back, and it is believed it used to be a very, very big factory just at the back area over there. So right, this one's the first photo. It's really cool to see the very old bridge and also the two sidings what lead underneath it and go right away to the top. So it is believed this is what you can actually see in the photo, the very old bridge, which really does date back a bit. But not only that, a photo back on for you can just see there is actually a big massive house situated right around the corner which is no longer there. And this is also another photo of the house, a very close up back in the old days. So it's really cool once more to see things that I'm there that I'm no longer there. And then there's even more going all the way across. You can just see another photo now of this canal section with the factory stretching all the way at the back. Once more, another cool photo. So right, just park my bike up, you can get a better view of the bridge right at the back, and also now the new housing estate where the factory used to go all the way across down to there. It makes you wonder if there's any evidence of the other canal siding that stretched all the way to the back. So I have no idea at all where that canal section was, whether it was right away at the back next to the wall. That's also a very old wall corner. Coming all the way down, you can see that's actually where the engine arm aqueduct is. We've got a narrow boat just going right away into there. It must be very hard to turn those boats to go right away in. There he goes. Nice perfect turn. And then right away in the distance over there, we can see the cockerels going. There's more old factory units where the engine arm aqueduct takes the canal over. Let's go and check out the engine arm aqueduct right away above and show you what it's actually like. So you've got the bridge what goes all the way up and leads to the other section of the canal just right away down to the bottom. So the canal comes down to here. You can just see the engine arm aqueduct where we was earlier, the architecture right away there. So it does come in very thin, as you see in that narrow boat go right away to the bottom. There's like a little basin, so I'm guessing in the old days there was tons of industry. Those buildings there really do date back a bit just onto the corner. But this bridge where you come all the way through from the old line has got really lots of history behind it. Just imagine when this was even built. Check out the architecture of this, some really nice patterns going all the way down. And then once more underneath it, you see you can actually walk onto the corner there and lead all the way around. I'm not doing it because it's really quite dangerous just to view underneath the bridge. There you go, you get a nice angle from this corner. This bridge really does remind me of the one, Burton Bridge at the Horn Basin. It's actually quite the same. But I must say that is really awesome to see that. So from the other side it really does remind you of the Horn Basin section. But yeah, as I walk down you can just see how narrow the canal is going over the aqueduct as I'm just walking further down. And you really do get a nice view from the top of here of the Birmingham New Line canal going all the way to the bottom. And then when you had that gorging station just right away there, that was on the island. But if I just carefully walk down, I think my bike might be okay there just for a few minutes. I can just show you the angle of this corner. Check out the basin here, we've got lots of derelict sidings just over to there, tons of them. And then it loops all the way around. Just carefully just get to the back here. There's a little basin and it goes right away to the bottom with more industry. So there we go. I'm not bringing the bike down here because I will pick quite a lot of punches. Zooming in you can see all the old bridges, all the industry right the way down to the bottom. Tell you what, it's really amazing to see that, to see the engine arm aqueduct from the bottom and also above. Just one more view to show you. Walking all the way back down, you do really get some nice views of the Birmingham New Line and the old line from this section here. But one more pan down to show you the Birmingham New Line canal. But here we go, you really do get some nice views of the pumping station right away here, just accompanied by a very old bridge onto this corner. Zooming in to show you, there is a very old sign there saying Smethwick New Pumping Station, completed in 1892. And what I find cool about it from this little area here, just right away at the top, is the views of the stack going right away to the top. I just think it's really cool architecture, this building. It's nice to see something like this onto the canal. It really does remind me from the top area here of the one that's up in Blowers Green, so there is actually another similar one to this, same architecture. And I've always passed that one going to the Dudley number 2 canal to lead round to the number 1 section up by Merry Hill. I've never been in the pumping station. I've always wanted to go in, but never had the chance because it's been open on the days that I've actually been to work. But there we go, pan around one more time to show you. There we go, the Smethwick new pumping station, and also some very old photos to show you. Really quite cool. So right, I've got some final stuff to show you now. We've got this little tunnel coming up, and also we've got some colliery things and also a bridge. So there's more history to cover before we go. So we're on the old line section heading towards the motorway part now. Here we are, this is the Summit Tunnel. This is actually one section of the canal that I wanted to show you, what I didn't get to show down the bottom by Galton Bridge because of all that trumpet noise going on. But the architecture of this place is really quite cool. It's different to the other tunnels you see across the canal line. It's more of like a concrete one going all the way down. Most of the tunnels what you do see are made of brick, like Netherton Tunnel, Cozy Tunnel. There is quite a few others that are really old, made by brick lined walls. But this one I find really fascinating. I'm not too sure how long this one took to complete. So it was built here for a purpose to bring the canal all the way through. Because obviously right away above us is a massive hill and a couple of roads. And there is a massive bridge right away behind, Summit Bridge. And that one's actually Grade 2 listed, and it was designed by John Smeaton. It says there, construction ended in 1789. Summit Bridge is a road bridge over a canal built in 1789, crosses the old main line of the Birmingham Canal navigations in Smethwick. It says it was part of John Smeaton's improvements to the canal system at the highest point in the area. So the Summit Bridge was built in 1788 to 79 as a project carried out by John Smeaton to deal with the water shortages at the summit level and to deal with traffic congestion by reducing the number of locks along the canal. By cutting through the hill, the summit level was reduced from 492 feet, 150 metres and 472 feet, 144 metres. Summit Bridge was built to carry Roebuck Lane across the cutting. The bridge has a single span. It was built of red brick with brick coping. On the north-west face there is a cast iron plaque bearing the date MDC CXC, and that actually dates to 1790. The canal towpath is on the southwest side. A short distance to the south, Galton Bridge carries Roebuck Lane over the new main line, the Agent Canal, built by Thomas Telford in the 1820s. You see bits of history and information on this canal section here. Let's have a ride for the tunnel and go and show the bridge that's right away down to the bottom. It is really cool. So here we are, we've come to the other section of it. You see we've got a bridge right away there, that's actually Summit Rail Bridge. Turning all the way around, this is actually the really old one, connected to the tunnel section right around to the corner. So if I just pan all the way down, you can just see inside the Summit Tunnel from this angle. So I do find this canal section very interesting because you've got the bridges here. Not only that, back in the old days, there was lots of coal mines that operated across the canal lines, like the Birmingham old line and the new line also operating for various goods. But the thing what I really find cool about it, if we view all the way around, you can just see the architecture coming all the way from the top and all the way down to it. We've got a plaque on there with a bit of history, but it's faded so much out. It says Summit Bridge. Viewing all the way up, as I mentioned in the history earlier, it says MDCCXC. So that is actually referring to the date that I mentioned earlier, just at the other end of the tunnel. But how cool is it to see that there's actually a road right away above, joined from one tunnel section there and a bridge, and also close by another bridge onto this corner. So here we are, this is the final part of the canal section that I want to show you. There is something down the bottom end, but I can't show you because my battery's going to run out any minute, so I want to show you the very last thing. So this one's actually Sandwell Park Colliery Wharf right around the corner. Just imagine back in the old days, photo I want to show you of what this really did look like across here. The colliery actually loaded things on. There was a tramway that used to go all the way through to the colliery right at the top, and I believe all the goods were loaded onto the boats here and then all the way across the canal. So there is some very old buildings onto the corner here. You see all the old brickwork, all overgrown by nature now. I'll tell you what, it really does give you a sense of an industrial past by seeing the old walls right away at the back. You can imagine if the buildings are actually still there now. It's a shame that parts of the colliery walls have all disappeared, like the big buildings. But yeah, there was a bridge just by the motorway down the bottom that I wanted to show you. Picture on now so you can actually see it, but I'm not going to go down there to show you it. But it's really cool to see that one once more. So I was going to mention more about that one, but my battery is going to die at any moment now. So, well, a brilliant day's filming. Really enjoyed it. I'm glad you have as well if you've watched the video all the way through. As like I mentioned, I love covering history, various little things on the canal lines. But see you soon for Midlands Outdoors Out. Stay tuned for the next one. Might cover more on the canal lines up to Birmingham city centre, so stay tuned for that. I really hope the wind does improve, and hopefully I do get my camera sorted, so I'll let you know on that one as well. I've also got another new camera, so don't worry about it. But yeah, see you soon for Midlands Outdoors Out. Take care.